Have you ever wondered why humanity has always been obsessed with the eternal struggle between good and evil? Why do we tell stories of heroes and villains, light and darkness, angels and demons? From the earliest myths carved into stone to modern movies that fill theaters, the idea of good versus evil has been with us since the beginning of civilization. But what do we really mean when we say something is good or evil? Is it about morality, intention, consequence, or simply perspective? Today, on the Relitalks, we're going to dive deep into this timeless question, the concepts of good and evil. Welcome to the Relitalks. I'm glad you're here. This channel is dedicated to exploring deep and timeless ideas with neutrality, authenticity, and curiosity. In this episode, we're going to unfold the layers of one of humanity's most fascinating debates. Whether you come from a religious background, a philosophical perspective, or simply a place of curiosity, you'll find something here to reflect upon. Part 1. The origins of good and evil. From the earliest human communities, people tried to make sense of why some actions seemed to protect life and harmony, while others brought harm and chaos. Anthropologists suggest that what we now call good may have started as behaviors that helped communities survive. Sharing food, protecting one another, raising children together. Evil, on the other hand, could have been behaviors that threatened survival, stealing, betrayal, violence within the group, but human imagination went further. As people developed stories to explain the world, they began to personify these forces. Lightning, storms, and natural disasters were often seen as the work of dark or evil forces. Fertility, harvest, and the rising sun were viewed as signs of good or benevolent powers. Over time, these became myths, legends, and moral codes. Part 2. Philosophy and the nature of good. Philosophers have debated the meaning of good for thousands of years. The ancient Greeks, like Plato, believed that the good was an ultimate reality, a kind of higher truth beyond human opinion. Aristotle, on the other hand, thought of good as actions and habits that help humans flourish, achieve balance, and live well. In Chinese philosophy, good and evil aren't seen as absolute opposites, but as complementary forces within the yin and yang. Darkness and light, softness and hardness, each exists because of the other, and balance is what matters. This challenges the Western idea that good and evil must be locked in an endless battle. Modern philosophers add another layer. Some argue that good is simply what brings the greatest happiness to the greatest number of people. Others say good is about respecting individual rights and dignity. Still others argue that morality is subjective, shaped by culture, history, and even personal preference. Part 3. The meaning of evil. If good is about harmony, flourishing, or balance, then what is evil? Is it simply the opposite? Some thinkers, like St. Augustine, argued that evil is not a thing in itself. It's the absence of good, like darkness is the absence of light. Others believed evil is real, active, and destructive, something that must be fought. In literature and myth, evil is often personified. A serpent tempting humanity, a dark lord threatening kingdoms, a trickster who brings chaos. But in real life, evil can be subtle. Sometimes it's not dramatic battles, but ordinary choices. Lying, exploiting, manipulating. Psychologists suggest that people commit evil when empathy breaks down, when power corrupts, or when individuals convince themselves that their harmful actions are justified. Hannah Arendt, a political thinker, even coined the phrase "the banality of evil" to describe how ordinary people can commit terrible acts simply by following orders or refusing to question authority. Part 4. Good versus evil in religion and myth. Across cultures, stories of good versus evil reflect the values of each society. In many traditions, good is tied to order, compassion, justice, and truth, while evil is associated with chaos, cruelty, injustice, and deceit. In ancient Mesopotamian myths, gods fought chaotic monsters to establish order in the world. In Hindu thought, the battle between dharma, righteousness, and adharma, unrighteousness, is ongoing, with avatars of the divine appearing to restore balance. In Buddhism, evil is not a demonic force, but ignorance, craving, and hatred that cloud the mind. Mythologies worldwide, from Norse legends of Ragnarok to African tales of trickster spirits show that cultures everywhere wrestled with the same question. Why do humans do good things sometimes and destructive things at other times? What's striking is that no matter the culture, these stories always serve a purpose. They teach, they warn, they guide. They remind us of the dangers of selfishness, greed, and cruelty, while also inspiring us toward kindness, courage, and justice. Part 5. Literature, Art, and Popular Culture. The theme of good versus evil is everywhere in literature and art. In ancient epics like the Iliad or the Mahabharata, heroes fight battles that symbolize more than war. They embody moral struggles. Medieval stories of knights and dragons weren't just adventure tales, they reflected the struggle to protect what is right. In modern times, the theme lives on in novels, films, and even video games. Think of the light side and dark side of the Force in Star Wars. Think of the battle between Harry Potter and Voldemort. These stories aren't just entertainment, they echo our oldest questions. They remind us that every generation continues to explore what it means to be good and what it means to face evil. Part 6. Psychology of Morality. Modern science has studied why humans care about good and evil. Developmental psychologists found that even babies show a preference for helpful behavior over harmful behavior. This suggests that morality may be partly hardwired into us. But culture plays a huge role too. What one society sees as good, another might see differently. For example, loyalty to family might be considered a supreme good in one culture, while another might emphasize individual freedom. Neither is inherently evil, but they can clash. Psychologists also study how ordinary people can commit extraordinary harm. Under pressure, authority, or fear, people may act against their own moral instincts. At the same time, history shows us individuals who resisted evil, standing up for justice even when it cost them everything. Part 7. Is good versus evil too simplistic? Some thinkers argue that the language of good versus evil oversimplifies human behavior. Instead of black and white, life is full of grey. Few people see themselves as villains. Even those who commit terrible acts often believe they are doing something necessary or justified. This raises an uncomfortable question. Is evil absolute, or is it a matter of perspective? When two sides of a conflict both believe they are good and the other is evil, how do we decide? Maybe good and evil are less like categories and more like directions, one leading toward compassion and life, the other toward harm and destruction. Part 8. The struggle within. The most fascinating part of this story is that good and evil aren't only out there in the world, they're inside us. Every human being carries both tendencies. We are capable of love, generosity, and sacrifice, but also of selfishness, cruelty, and indifference. This inner conflict has been symbolized in countless ways, an angel on one shoulder, a devil on the other. The yin-yang symbol showing darkness within light and light within darkness. Even modern psychology talks about the shadow self, the parts of us we prefer to ignore but must acknowledge. To understand good and evil is, in many ways, to understand ourselves. Part 9. Real-life lessons. So what can we take from this? The concept of good and evil isn't just an abstract debate. It shapes our laws, our relationships, and our choices every day. When we face questions about honesty, justice, responsibility, or kindness, we are living this story. The great thinkers, prophets, and storytellers of the past didn't give us one final answer, but they gave us tools. Stories to guide us, principles to reflect on, and the reminder that our choices matter. Maybe good isn't about perfection. Maybe it's about striving, choosing compassion when it's easier to ignore, seeking justice when it's easier to stay silent, telling the truth when lies seem safer. Evil, then, may not be some external monster, but the small daily decisions that harm others or ourselves. Part 10. Closing reflections. The story of good versus evil is really the story of us, our fears, our hopes, our choices. It has been told around fires, written in sacred texts, painted in art, and played out in theaters and screens. And it continues every day in the lives we live. As we reflect on this timeless theme, perhaps the real question is not what is good or what is evil, but which direction am I moving toward today? Every action, big or small, becomes part of the story. Closing. Thank you for joining me on the Relitalks. I hope this journey into the concepts of good and evil has sparked reflection in you. Remember, these aren't just abstract ideas. They are woven into every choice we make, every relationship we build, and every society we create. If you found value in this exploration, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so we can continue uncovering the deepest questions of life together. And as always, stay curious, stay thoughtful, and keep reflecting. Until next time, this is the Relitalks, wishing you wisdom in your journey through light and shadow.